On the forested slopes of the Appalachian Mountains, Larry Harding is on the hunt. He works his way slowly through the underbrush, carefully scanning the forest floor. Not for rabbits or turkey or deer, but for a small root with a big reputation.
Oh, right there's some.
Ginseng, right here in Garrett County.
So let's see if we can't get him popped out here without breaking a lot of hair roots off of him.
A key ingredient in Chinese folk medicine, ginseng is native to western Maryland and throughout Appalachia. Huntin' sang is a popular hobby passed down through the generations.
Dad used to take us out ginsenging when we was just little. And Dad would say, okay, well, I found one, so where's it at?
Once found, most of that ginseng was sold for Christmas money, but not all of it.
We'd bring the small rootlets home that wasn't able to sell, and we plant them down here in town under a grape arbor, and that's where we got started with Harding's Ginseng Farm.
Today, Larry grows about 50 acres of ginseng under near-wild conditions just a few miles from Friendsville. The yellowing of the leaves marks the beginning of fall and harvest season, during which Larry will pull up between 100 and 300 pounds of ginseng for sale to customers in the U.S. and abroad.
We get down on our hands and knees and typically just go in a line and just dig it up with the tater fork, all done by hand.
The resulting roots look a lot like wild ginseng, but the concentration, 25 to 35 roots per square yard, is not something you'll find in the wild.
Years ago, you can go out in a lot of places and find a lot of ginseng. It's just not that way anymore.
In China and other parts of East Asia, centuries of overharvesting due to high demand has driven wild Asian ginseng to near extinction. And halfway around the world, it looks like history might be repeating itself with American ginseng.
The price is becoming very, very high for wild ginseng. And so when ginseng reaches these high prices, there's lots of people that, even if they haven't went out hunting ginseng before, they're getting back into it, because of the price.
With Maryland's ginseng population declining rapidly, state officials require all ginseng hunters to get special permits and prohibit the harvest of plants under 5 years old or from state parkland. But regulations aren't the only defense against a dangerously high demand. There's also operations like Larry's, which takes some of that pressure off wild ginseng by offering a high-quality farmed alternative.
At this point, we've developed into one of the largest wild simulated farms in the United States today.
There are 3 different cultivation methods for ginseng. Field cultivated.
They grow this in the fields under black shade tarps, and they're fertilized very heavily to get a big root in typically 3 and 4 years.
Woods grown.
It's grown in the forest, but these are usually fertilized to promote rapid root growth as well.
And then there's Larry's wild simulated ginseng, currently enjoying a toasty 94 degrees in his drying room.
It's as close as you're going to get to wild ginseng when it comes to raising a ginseng root in the woods.
Minimal fertilizer, no raised beds, just a lot of natural shade and a lot of time.
If you're growing a good quality wild simulated root, it's not going to have the character in 3, 4, 5 years. You're not going to get the wild character until it reaches 7, 8, and 10.
Getting from planting to harvest requires not just patience, but vigilance.
A lot of things happen in an 8 and 10 year period. You got deer, you got turkeys, you got disease, you got voles, you got theft.
To keep the local wildlife from snacking on his ginseng, Larry uses dogs, propane cannons, and some seriously scary scarecrows.
Turkeys can't stand diet, so we put scarecrows up. After the deer or the turkeys get used to them, we'll typically just move them around. Maybe we'll change the clothes on them, put an orange hat on them, or something like that. It seems to distract them.
But with the price of wild ginseng ranging from $500 to as high as $1,000 a pound, and the price of wild simulated hovering just below that, turkeys aren't the only predators lurking in the woods.
I had 2 people come all the way from Kentucky, 8 hours away, in the middle of the night would come through and steal off of me.
For Larry and growers like him, these losses can be devastating.
You work so hard for that, in my case, it's my livelihood.
But despite the challenges, Larry sees ginseng in his future.
I've been growing it ever since I've been a little kid, and when you're able to do that, it just gives you a sense of pride that you can't explain.
And yours, if you're interested.
Let's grow a crop here in the U.S. that we can help to take the pressure off. of wild ginseng, because that's going to help to save the species. We can grow a good crop too.